Because he is our muscle.
Yeah.
Who's got the most muscle?
Probably me.
I was going to go get my urine from my suitcase, which is my suitcase over I
You have a thing back here?
Not, I'm doing that part of it.
Is it somewhere?
But it has to be woman. It has to be open because that's that. The volume.
What is it? Right inside your bag or in the pocket?
It might be just dig around in here.
No.
I don't think I
like the cameraman.
just somewhere right there. Yeah.
I like the cameraman. I said, not you.
Look at your turn.
Kilowatt Okay.
Focus it this way.
Was.
I could tell him I'm going to see my ex right now. That's my sister's, my little sister's grandson. that's why I'm the ex.
Hey, I have a stand in my office.
Where?
Oh, good.
Okay, sit that one.
I think. I'm gonna go check.
Okay.
I hope that thing's not on. Sometimes I can get shy.
It's on.
So in order to kind of give me a cold, it almost needs to be a table.
Yeah.
So you can
That's it, just one.
You girls know how to report? Okay, how do you put this? Report? So let's try it and then it's gonna be okay.
I'll go try. Yeah, I'm taking it to try myself.
See me okay?
More? Big mark? This side. Above here is good?
So we'll move these girls up this side. Because it doesn't, this doesn't come very close to me. See, right there. Who else likes chai pie? Me.
Crystal sounds use that?
How many of the ladies came back today?
Labon.
How many of the ladies came back today? Seven. I'll ask you. What did you have last night? They had movie night figurines at the multiplex.
Oh.
Yeah. Fireworks after the evening event.
Belinda Vandenbrook. I met Belinda years ago. I don't know how many years ago, but she's the one that started the sobriety, morning hour sobriety social gathering for many years. And I believe it was her last year? Yeah, the last one. So we went, some of us staff went last year to attend, and it's always a good, well organized and good food and good dancing. So with that, I'm going to hand over the mic to Miss Belinda, and we'll go from there. We'll let's make her welcome, and I think it's about her third time in NAAW House. Yeah. So let's welcome Belinda to our community. She's going to introduce herself.
All right, thank you very much for coming this afternoon. I'm glad to be here. we landed last night only to find out that the engine was not going to work after that. So we're lucky we landed apparently. So I'm very grateful to be here today in Guinness-City. And yeah, so my name is Belinda. I am McGilvery from OCN, Big 80 Reserve, Mile 5. That's where I was born. And I was born there to my family. So I was born to my Indian way of living, thinking, feeling, speaking. I knew my language. And I'm very, very grateful for that because I've been able to go back to that many, many times because I grew up thinking like Innu. I am a Muskego Innu Squirrel, Swampy Cree from Big 80 Reserve. Anyway, I'm 76 today and 49 years sober. 49 years I never thought I could ever say. So I will share my story with you. And please, if you do have to talk on the cell phone, could you just please leave the room, okay? Because I don't want to be disrespectful to you and try and talk over you. I just would really appreciate that. If you could do that, thank you. Anyway, as I said, I am 49 years sober, so I'm here to tell you my story of recovery and the healing journey that I've been on for as many years. 49 years, that's a long time, holy moly. Well, to begin, I have to start at the beginning. Anyway, I was 27 when I quit drinking, and it certainly had nothing to do with my desire to quit drinking. That just wasn't even there. What happened was I had a friend, her name was Louise Oman, Louise Frog. Her mother was Bella Frog. I think Bella was from Cross Lake, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Louise and I grew up as teenagers in Churchill. Because after I went to residential school when I was 9, and I was there for 10 years. 19 is when I was finished there. And I did go home for a few times in the summer from there. My father died a year or two after I went to residential school, and later on my mother married a man from Churchill, so that's where I lived most of my life so far. But it's getting to be that I'm in the Winnipeg area now a little bit longer than other places I've lived. I moved there in 1993 when I was 45 to go to university because I thought if I didn't do it then, I was never going to do it. So I'm glad I went to university. Anyway, so I was brought up by my grandparents, and I'm so grateful for that, so grateful because I felt their love every single day of my life with them. They were the most important people in my life. This is one set of grandparents that couldn't have children, and if you're wondering how come I have a grandmother that couldn't have children, you'd be wondering where my mom came from and where I came from. Anyway, you know what it's like in the Cree system. So my mom was Catherine. She had two sisters, Betsy and Sarah. Sarah married Simon Partridge. My granny did not marry my grandfather till she was 65. They were 65 when they got me as a 2-month-old baby. And because my mom left our home at that time, and my dad had to work. Anyway, so I'm very, very grateful for that. They were wonderful, wonderful people. And I was a spoiled brat, I will admit that, and I think I still am sometimes. Just kidding, I'm not. Anyway, yeah, so I have 3 children and 3 grandchildren, and I absolutely love them with all my heart. When they were born, every one of them, when they were born, I was in the delivery room, and doctors were trying to kick me out of there, and I kept going back in. Anyway, as soon as they placed them in the incubator, I went right over to that incubator. I went into their little ears. I said, "Oh, Miss That's what I said to all 3 of them. And so I hope they remember that as they grow up. Anyway, so in my story of recovery, my friend, her and I used to drink together, party together and everything, and then she came out for treatment and she stopped drinking, and I said, oh my God, did they give her some magic pill or something? How could she stop drinking? Anyway, so she came out, I think it was in November, and she was still sober in December and January. And I was still drinking in January, February 4th is the day that I quit. And it wasn't because I wanted to quit either. Anyway, she phones me that day. I just finished puking my guts out in the toilet bowl about 7:30 in the morning. Anyway, so she phones me around 1 o'clock. She says, there's an open AA meeting tonight. Do you want to come? I went, yeah, okay. I wanted to sleep some more. Anyway, so she took me to my first AA meeting. And like I said, it was no great desire to stop drinking, that's for sure. But I went with her, and I don't know what was said at that meeting, but they said, keep coming back. And so I did. And I began my journey. And I didn't know that it was going to be a journey. First of all, I'd never stayed sober, so I didn't think for 1 minute I was going to stay sober anyway. But I was scared I would drink. And I didn't want to drink anymore after that. So my fear I'll never make it. I just never made it. I quit 1,000,000 times before. And so I didn't think I was going to stay sober. But I did, one day at a time. Oh, thank God, that's all we have in one day in our lives. Anyway, so then my friend Louise, she's the one that did everything. Like, honest goodness, that woman, she was on my ass all the time. You got to do this, you got to do that. Anyway, so 6 months into my sobriety, she says to me, I made an appointment for you to go and see Father Parody for your step 5. What? I didn't even do step 4 yet. Anyway, so I'm writing away, trying to... anyway, so I'd be writing away and then I'd hide it and then write some more. Anyway, so I did go and see Father Parody within 6 months of my sobriety. And I swear that when I left that place and I was heading to Louise's after that, I felt like my feet weren't even touching the ground. I just felt so light, but I didn't realize that's how it was until later, because I was so happy and I felt so good. And anyway, so I went and I told her that I did my step. And she said, okay, we'll get ready for 6. Oh God, bossy old lady she was. Anyway, so I did that. And so in the beginning, to say that I admitted that I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had been unmanageable. Now, I could say that my life was unmanageable because of my drinking, but I couldn't say that I was powerless over alcohol. I couldn't. I didn't think I was, and I didn't even think I was an alcoholic anyway. So, because, oh, I didn't drink like so-and-so in the community, you know, that one is a drunk. Yeah, not knowing that I was a drunk too. Anyway, so finally, took me a year. It was a whole year before. And the day that I recall that day, when I knew I could not drink like a normal person. I was not a normal drinker, whatever that is. And besides, I hate going out and drinking with normal people anyway, because they went home. And I was ready to party. Anyway, so, yeah, it took me a while, but I kept doing the steps they told me to do, step 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, and I just kept living my life sober. That was the main thing. I was sober. Like I said, I was scared I was going to drink because I'd quit drinking many times before. So, about a year later, I had that, I don't know, you can call it an epiphany or aha moment, when I knew deep in my heart, in my gut, I did not drink like a normal person. So therefore, I should not drink at all. Okay? one is one too many and 1,000 is not enough, as the saying goes, eh? And that is so true for me, because I could never stop at one. Normal people did that, but I wasn't normal in my drinking. So I kept going to meetings faithfully every week, twice a week. And then in September of that first year, I quit drinking February the 4th, 1975. I'm old, I think I'm old. Anyway, so I came out to my first day roundup in Winnipeg. Never heard of them. I thought I was going to a horse and cattle show. Roundup, what? Anyway, so my friend Louise took me and we went out. And my sister lived in the city and she introduced me to a lady. Her name was Ivy Doman. She's passed away. She was one of my mentors. Anyway, at the time that I met her, she was sober 10 years. And I went, nobody stays sober for 10 years. Oh, we have little faith, eh? Anyway, but she became my best mentor, my best friend. I loved her. She was so humble, just quiet. And so she was one of my favorite people coming into sobriety. And when Louise is the one that really straightened me out in terms of my thinking and what I had to do to reframe that thinking, because it is about reframing, changing your thinking. You cannot stay sober if you think the same as you did when you were drinking. That's, simple as that. And you can't hang out with the same people you were drinking with if you're trying to stay sober. And I think in the first maybe month or so, I even went to the bar with people and I went, this is crazy, what am I doing here? So I stopped doing that too, because I didn't like the energy in there anyway, because people get louder and then they start fighting and all of that stuff, that goes with drinking. So each time that I went to meetings, something stayed with me, something strong for me. So my first they tell you, if you're a woman, you shouldn't get a man sponsor. So I did. Anyway, so my sponsor was 13 years sober. He was the director of the detox program. He came from the States. Anyway, so after about a year and a half working there, he was leaving Churchill. And I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't have a sponsor. Because everybody else was just sobering up like I was. So it wasn't like anybody had years and years of sobriety in the community. Anyway, so I said to him, oh my God, what am I going to do? I must have drove him crazy. I said, what am I going to do after you're gone? And he said, I'm going to ask you one question, and you answer that. He said, do you think you could stay sober for one day? And I said, yeah. And he says, okay, then you'll stay sober forever. And I went, is this guy nuts or what? He says, forever? I was only 27 at the time. I could never see forever in my life at that time. But what he said was true. If you can be grateful, to be happy, to say thank you, Semantu, that I'm sober today, you will stay sober forever. There's no doubt about it. And so when he left, I just thought, okay, I'll just keep coming to meetings and I'll keep doing the steps. And that's what I did. And so each step that I took in the AA program at the time helped to, solidify my desire to stay sober and not to drink for just one day, like one day. And so when coming to AA like that, and all of us were new, like there wasn't anybody there that had like 10 years even. we were just helping each other. And so in doing that, I was really grateful that I've been sober this long, like 49 years, 50 years will be February the 4th in next year. And for that, I'm just totally, totally grateful. And it really is, it's difficult to try and explain. How do you explain gratefulness? How do you explain, thankfulness? You can't, because you gotta feel it. And only you know what that feels like. But for me, it's a happy feeling. I am just so grateful that today I can wake up sober and I have a clear mind and a clear vision and clear thought. I never had those when I drank. I'd wake up foggy, cranky. So today, the fact that I can say today I'm very grateful, my heart is happy, my spirit is happy, and alcohol is no longer a part of my life. And people say, well, because many of us that go to AA will say, my name is Belinda and I'm an alcoholic. And people will say, well, you can't say that forever. I mean, yes, you can if you want. But I don't see myself as the alcoholic. I was when I drank. For sure, I drank like one. But today I'm sober. I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that. Little did I know that when I did my step 5 with Father Parody, that would be the beginning of my healing journey. Never didn't think of that for 1 minute as that. Because I'm just new in recovery. I'm not really thinking the way that I think today. Oh my God, not even close to what I think today from back then. So, I mean, I really was grateful every single day. And there was drinking around me in my life, friends and family and stuff, but I just knew that I didn't want to be a part of that anymore, not anymore. So in my healing journey, I knew that I needed to do a lot more work inside me. And it's hard to describe that because I really don't know where it is inside me. I don't know if it's my head or in my back or my knees, I don't know. It's there somewhere in my body. So I knew it was the feelings that I had that came about in my life. People call it trauma these days. You can call it trauma, you can call it pain, you can call it whatever you want. But things happened in my life that set the stage for the trauma, the pain, the heartaches, all those things. And what I didn't know was they're being collected, I thought, like in a garbage can. So there they were, waiting to be dealt with. And and it was my friend Louise that said, get rid of it. You don't have to hold on to it. And I went, oh, really? Okay. And so that is when I began to search everywhere, anywhere. Back then there wasn't like Google or something and you could, punch in whatever, not like today. But, you can even punch in Google how to build a sweat lodge. And I am proof of that in that when we were building the sweat lodge for my little 3-month-old Soshi to get her spirit name, my husband and I and 2 of our friends, we built the sweat lodge together, okay? So anyway, so my friends come with all the, the twigs and all of that needs to make the sweat lodge. They went to the bush to get all of that. And my husband Googled it. He says, okay, let me just see, Google, how do you build a sweat lodge? Well, doesn't it come up on Google, how to build a sweat lodge? I thought, I don't even believe this. But anyway, there I have a picture of him standing there looking at this Google, how to build a sweat lodge. Anyway, so we did build a sweat lodge for my little Sochi girl, my pretty girl I call her. She's now 10 years old. And yeah, she's just one of the most beautiful things that happened to me in my life. But before we get there, I'll talk a little bit about over here. Anyway, so in my sobriety, people were telling me, you should go into addictions counseling. And I said, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm too scared. I might drink again or something. I didn't know. Anyway, so a year later, I went to the director of the addictions program in Churchill, and I said, is there a place an indigenous place that I can go get training for addictions? And she said, yes, there is. And I said, oh, okay, give me the info. So it was Nietzsche Institute in Edmonton, started by Eric Chert, handsome guy that he is, and he knows it too. Anyway, so I said, oh my, so anyway, I took the information, boy, I made that phone call, I registered myself for the next course, booked my hotel room where it was held, booked my plane ticket to Edmonton from Churchill, and off I went. And I was so glad I went there. So I did 2 sets, and the second set is where Eric and I met again, Robinson. Him and I drank together like way back in the day, right? Anyway, so I met him there, and I'm glad I did. We reconnected again. But anyway, so I went there, and I was really, really excited that I was going to get training, and it was going to be wonderful, and I was so happy. Anyway, I didn't know what to expect anyway, but I went. So the first day I was already there on a Saturday, and if you know me, you know very well that my hotel room would have been like a house already. Everything was there for anybody that wanted to come and eat and have coffee and whatever. Anyway, so Monday morning we started, and it was a circle like this. And all of us were chatting away there. We were meeting for the first time, all of us. And then all of a sudden, boy, the room went quiet. And in walks the guy, and a young fella. And he's tall and slim. He's got a cowboy hat on. He's got braids. And I went, oh my God, what's that, Anyway, so we sat, and so he says to the young fellow, go ahead and light the smudge, he says, eh? And the only smudge I knew back then was, the smudge pot you put outside your house? The mosquitoes? It was the only smudge I knew at the time. So anyway, and usually a smudge is with sage, most times, okay? But this time, for whatever reason, it was sweetgrass. And honest to God, the minute that he lit that and that smoke came up, I was like, oh my God. It was like I got hit right in the gut. Like, I went like that, I went, oh, I know where I smelled that before. And it was at home. But of course, it was against the law for us to practice our way of life. It wasn't even practicing. You don't practice your life, you live it. So I didn't know, but we did that every morning and every night. And my grandpa, there was a little shelf above the kitchen table, and up there was the Bible and the comb. Every morning, you take that Bible, first the comb. The comb is straight, and that way, and that way. You put the comb back, you take the Bible, and he'd open it up, and he'd read some Bible verses there, in our language, of course, because we're all sitting in our beds because it's cold in the house, with our little cup of tea. Anyway, so I smelled that every morning before I went to residential school, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And so, of course, you don't learn any of that in residential school, do you? Don't even learn your history there. Anyway, so when that happened, it was like my moment of epiphany, like a wake-up call, and I went, holy moly. So from that moment, at that time, I knew what I had to do as Ininu, Muskego Ininu, a descendant of the original people of this country, my country, your country. I knew, number one, Where do I come from? I need to know my history. I need to know what happened. So that became my goal in life, was to learn in any way from anywhere whatever I could about who I am as Muskego Winini Wisqueo, to this land, my homeland. So began my journey of awareness, of wanting to know, always wanting to know more about where I came from. See, up to that point, I knew I was brown. Everybody that saw me knew I was brown, knew I was Indian. But that's all I knew. I didn't know my history, I didn't know where I came from. So then began my journey of awareness, of knowing, of wanting to know what happened to us in our homeland. And I'm going to talk about religion, and you may not like it, and that's okay, because that's not what it's about. It's about you knowing the truth of your homeland and what happened to us by other people from another country that came to tell us how to live here. Not anymore. Not anymore. And that moment and at that time I said, no, that's not happening. And how you believe today, in whatever religion you believe today, that's your business. That's your business, not mine. But I will tell you my business. And I will tell you what happened to me. So up to that point, I'm a sinner. Like, hello? Really? Who calls me that? And why? 10 years of residential school, yep, you hear that quite often. Twice on Sundays. Okay, but didn't know that it had an effect on me. Watch the Cowboys and Indians movies. Indians were always the bad guys. What does that do to your mind and your subconscious mind? It has everything to do with your subconscious mind and how you see yourself today, right this minute. How do you see yourself? How do you feel about who you are? I didn't have a good feeling about who I was because we were always the bad guys and we were always the drunks. And in the Cowboys and Indian movies, we were squaws. And we killed people. What do you think that does to a little 9-year-old mind? Yeah, it sets the stage for a pretty sad situation. And see, and if you're indigenous to this land, you need to know that history, whether you like it or not. That's what you need to know. What happened to us? And today, you know that our communities are divided by religion and by traditional people. People are still calling people like me evil and doing the work of the devil. Well, that's a lie. That's a 500-year-old lie said to you and I by white people that came to this country to tell us how to live our lives. Like, how dare they think that they could do that? And they did. For 500 years, it's still here today. Right now. So what do you believe today? What do you stand for today? You know why I ask that question? Because it's important for our children to know what they stand for today. Are they sinners? Are they good human beings? You need to ask yourself that. So in learning all of that and trying to figure out what in the world happened to us here in our homeland. And honestly, I mean, I thought about that and I looked and searched and read, trying to figure out what happened. Because I was talking about the subconscious mind. Now the subconscious mind will tell you a little bit about that. The conscious mind is me and you. You're aware of me and I'm aware of you. I see you and you see me. That's conscious. Subconscious mind is that everything in your life, from the minute you were born till the day you die, everything you smelled, saw, heard, felt, all 5 senses, right here. The database is called. Everything is recorded. That's why you get triggered. Because it's there. The record is there. It doesn't go away. So, watching those cowboys and Indians movies and how we were squaws and nothing but, you know, somebody to lay and rape and have sex with. That's how we were seen by the people that came over from another country. What do you think the word squaw was used by the white people? I'm going to tell you where the word squaw came from, okay? In the history, in Andrew Graham's Hudson Bay journals. He wrote about 30 journals. Anyway, so in his journals, the people that came here from England came here to make Queen Victoria rich. That's why they came here, and to make the Hudson Bay rich. That's the only reason why they came here. They didn't come here for any other reason, except to take all the fur from the land by the thousands. Our people didn't do things by the thousands, they only took what they needed. I mean, pelts like high, leaving York Factory to go back to England for the Queen and the Hudson Bay. Our resources already started back then. So when they came here, they had only that purpose, not our ancestors not knowing at all why they were here. But they did get to know each other, they did start to talk to each other. So our ancestors are living, your ancestors and mine are living their lives just the way they had for thousands and thousands of years. They didn't change anything because the white man came here. They continued to have the rites of passages for our children, so our children knew who they are. That's why you have rites of passages. So that your child knows where they come from, and they know their identity, and they know and feel their goodness. That's what the rites of passages do. All the ceremonies were going on, the sundance, the sweat lodge, shaking tent, all those things. And for heaven's sake, if you're still thinking those are evil, give it up already, because it's a lie. You were told that lie by the white people that came here. We have to wake up to that for the sake of our children, so our children can feel proud of who they are, not shamed. And I'm very adamant about that, and I'll argue with anybody about that, even the Pope. I could sit down with the Pope any day and give him a piece of my mind. Can you open that for me, please? Anyway, yeah. So your history, my history, in our homeland is very important. If you don't know, find out. Google it. Google Andrew Graham. But anyway, come back to the word squaw. So, Andrew Graham wants to send the Queen of England the things he's learning over here. So he wants to teach him the language. Okay? So he's learning words and he's just proud of himself. Can't you just see it? And so he writes NAPEW, N-A-P-E-W for man. And he writes E-S-Q-U-A-W for Isquel. Okay? In the linguistic way, the I is what you use for the I sound, Isquel. So, somewhere along the line, the I got dropped and the squaw stayed, and then it became not a good meaning for us, indigenous women, to our homeland. It became a dirty word. And it's still around. And even our own people use it against each other. Hello. Gotta wake up to that. But that's where that word came from. And he didn't mean to do that in a mean way. He just was trying to teach the Queen of England what he was learning over here. He was trying to teach them the language. Just go. But up to that time, and they're living their lives here, like I said, the way they had lived it for thousands of years. And so at some point, these white men that came from England to serve the Queen of England and Hudson Bay, they were looking at what was going on, and because they know nothing about our ceremonies, they know nothing about how we believe in God, Creator, Yusamantu, nothing. They make the judgment call that whatever those people are doing out there, that's evil. That's the work of the devil. Do we have a word for devil in our language, guys? No. We have a word for spirit, good and bad spirits, for sure. And there is good and bad spirit in every culture. We're not the only ones that have the bad spirits here, folks. Really. Bad is bad. If you're thinking bad today as a human being and you're alive and well here and thinking bad, that's not good. It's not good. So, in my 49 years of being sober and wanting to learn, I just wanted to learn whatever I could from our elders. Knowing and understanding that a lot of them still were coming from the Bible version. Therefore telling me, when I was asking about, oh, we didn't do that stuff, we didn't do that stuff. And one elder said that to me. And before he died, I went to visit him. And he said to me, you're right, you know. We had those things. And when he said that, he was whispering in his own house, in case somebody heard him say that. See? That's how scared our people were. Your ancestors were scared of that devil, of the evil, which is a lie, a bold-faced lie, people. But I'm going to tell you why that's a lie. Because we do not believe the way the white people believe about religion. First of all, that's not even ours to have, but you can have it if you want. This is how our lives are. And I learned this from many elders in my 49 years right across Canada and the States, New Zealand, Hawaii. So so the theory out there, is it the Darwin theater? The theory that we might come from monkeys? I don't know about you, but I'm not from any monkey. I mean, people can believe that if they want, but I don't. We come from Gisemantu. That's where we come from. That's why we're different in our homeland. We don't come from the ribs of man. We don't come from anywhere else like that. We come straight from Gisemantu. And you come here, and the minute that you're consummated, right in that nanosecond, not the 9 years you were asleep, that second, the spirit in a blue light comes right into that little egg that you were born with. Asai pure essence of love. That's where you come from. Right now. Right now. All of you are pure essence of love. That's where we come from. Not from any other theory in life. Not from any other theory that as a white man has a theory about. That's not who we are. We are, when we say that we are children of God, we are. That's where we come from. And there's lots of blue lights flashing around here already in this whole world, but you'll never see them with the naked eye, but they're there. So when I first came into AA, they said you need to find a higher power, okay? So a higher power to me at that time was the word God. That's what we felt. Now what most people don't know about AA is this, that AA was based on the spiritual teachings of the Native American Indian in the States. Bill W. and Dr. Bob went to see a Native American who was sober, who was sober, and asked him about those teachings. And that's what it's based on. It doesn't speak about religion at all. It talks about spirit. But most people don't know what spirit is, or they don't understand what that means. So when we're born and we come into this earth, in that nanosecond that the two eggs meet, your mom and dad, right there. And when you come into the body of your mother, and in that body there's 4 spirits in there. The water spirit, the grandmother spirit, the mother spirit, and the child spirit. And when you do come into this world, you are born essence, pure essence of love. We don't have any other teaching other than that. You see, but remember, we've been influenced by many religions in this world, all vying for our souls, all telling us that it's their way or not. Take the highway is whatever, I don't know. I've walked many a highway already in my life anyway, so I'm not worried about what highway I'm going to go on. Anyway, so when we know, I'm telling you, when you know where you come from, and that's what I mean. I'm not talking about a place I was born. I'm talking about that part of me, that spirit that's in here somewhere that connects me to Gisemantu. You don't have to go to church for that. We never had church before the white people came here. That's not how we lived. Everything that's living has spirit. We were very respectful of all of that. That's how come the people that came to our land as new people couldn't believe how humble and respectful our people were in their homeland. Many of us have forgotten that. Today, we don't know that anymore. And if you don't know about your spirit, it's going to be a pretty sad state of affairs. Because you'll never be happy. You'll never be grateful. Because your spirit is what teaches you right from wrong. You will never lie. And thank God I learned that in my life. I'm so grateful that that part of me, Gisemantu, is inside me. I don't have to go to church. I don't have to go to ceremony. It's here. It was given to me at birth. And I'll tell you why I believe that absolutely 100% in my life today. My grandmother that brought me up had surgery. She had cancer in her womb, so they wanted to take it out. While she was on the table, she died. And she went up to a place, a beautiful, beautiful place. And across the river from where she was standing, she saw all her relatives there. Just bright, beautiful, sunny day. They were happy and they were telling her to come over. And she was trying to come over, but she couldn't. Like when I get that, all of a sudden she sees to her left this bright, bright light. So she's trying to look at it, but it's so bright. And she says in the language, this is all in the native language that she's telling me that. And you know, I don't know about you, but most elders don't sit around talking like, oh, I love you so much and everything you do, I love everything. But that's not, they just love you. They don't have to talk about it, right? They don't. And you can feel it. Anyway, so she says, in the language, she said, I felt love like I never felt on earth before. That's what she said. She said through my whole body. And then for sure she didn't want to come back here. No way. She wanted to stay with this beautiful feeling. I always think of the sun when I talk about that. And when this thing says to her, this bright light says to her in our language, it's not time for you to come home yet. Like holy moly. I mean, wonderful. What a beautiful thing for my granny to see and be witness and be a part of that in her human life, living life. So she always said she was never scared to go back home. And she did die. And she used to sing hymns in Cree. I loved hymns in Cree. Anyway, she used to sing them at home at night. I loved it. I loved it. I slept with my granny back to back until she died, and I was 21. I slept with her every time I went home. So when she came back, her life was different. She didn't think the same again. Because she knew where she came from. I know where I come from. I mean, besides my mom, but mom came from somewhere else too. And my granny came from somewhere else too. See? Because the one thing that happened in our 500-year history was not to like who we are. Right? Is that true? Yeah. And who said that? The white people told us that from another country. How dare they? How dare they do that to us in our homeland? That'll never happen in my life anymore. Not as long as I live. I will tell the truth. If you don't like it, I'm totally okay with that because it's your life, it's not mine. But I will always strive for the truth of who we are and where we come from and what our life is like. There is spirit in everything, everything. There isn't anything that's living that doesn't have spirit. That's why our hunters knew how to hunt. They didn't just aim and shoot. They offered tobacco before they took that life. And many times they had to look that animal in the eye. So you're going to kill something that's going to give you life. How do you feel about that? Right? Different feeling, for sure. For sure. So today, when I speak the truth, some people are not happy. And like I said, I'm totally okay with that because I don't base my life on a human being. I base my life on Kisemantu that's inside me. Nimantum. I remember one of my elders, if she'd hear something like that was hurt her or whatever, she'd go, oh, Nimantum, Nimantum. She'd hold herself and say that because she didn't like what she heard. It hurt her spirit when somebody would say something that was mean or not nice. So today, I think, every human being has to ask themselves, where do you come from? What do you base your life on? What are your teachings? It can't be like the white people, folks. It can't. Otherwise, our children will continue to die, commit suicide, go into gangs, go into prostitution because they don't know where they come from. It's your responsibility and mine to teach them that they're good people and they have a history in this country, their homeland. We can't hurt our children anymore. Why do you think our children are in CFS? Over 12,000 of our children, folks. Where's the mothers? Where's the fathers? They got disconnected from who they are because their mother is disconnected. They don't know their history. The grandmothers don't know the history. The true history. I'm not talking about the white history. And when I speak to white people as the audience, I tell them that their history is not the same as ours. Not even close. In our homeland, they're treated very differently. We have an Indian Act, there's no White Act. We have an actual a gradual civilization act for us, but none for the white people. Boy, do they need one now. We should make it up, you guys. You can give it to them. Yeah. I'll start the first meeting. I was asked to speak at a women's group a couple of years ago and in Winnipeg. And when we talk about truth and reconciliation, we usually think white people to us. That's what we think, most times. That's not what needs to happen, folks. Not at all. What needs to happen is reconciliation in our home communities, like right now. Not tomorrow, now. The religious people, the traditional people, any other church people, get together, talk about it, and be there for the same reason, which is to save your little children from having to go through what you and I felt about who we were growing up in our homeland. Not anymore. We're in 2024, folks. Get a hold of your history. Learn about where you come from. Ego tochiga kiskeni tentan sisi taisi matis yan gemantumoche. Find out where you come from, find out your history, find out about the Spirit and how we live it at Gisemantu gave it to us. And that's why the role of men changed drastically when the white men came over from another country who had different views about women. Okay? This is what our men knew. Our men knew back then, before contact with any other nation, our men knew how to respect women. And that's why they did not think the way they do today. Many of our women are beaten by their men. The men knew that this woman, his wife, girlfriend, or whatever you choose to call them, that was a human being that was given the right and the privilege to bring life into this world. The men knew that, and they would never disrespect what Gisemantu gave the women in this earth. The men would never, ever think about that. Not anymore. That's not the way it is anymore. Many of our women are beaten by their partners. Violence, there's violence all over. One man, 17-year-old shot in my area of the city, Unity City, 18 bullets in him. I was at Polo Park shopping 2-3 days ago, and a guy was stabbed right there in the mall. What is our world coming to? And when I say the reason why the world is all screwed up is because people don't live from their spirit. Because if you live from your spirit and think from, you cannot hurt another person. You can't. Because that's the Gisemantu part of you. That's the most loving, gentle, kind part of your body is that spirit. Because it came from gentle spirit. Loving spirit, kind spirit. Gisemantu. That's where we come from. And you have to know that if you are indigenous to this land, you got to know that. You can't go from this day onward saying, I don't know where I come from, because I just told you. And I say that everywhere I go. I'm not scared of anybody to say that as if, listen, I've been a cop fighter too, okay, so don't mess with me. My brother says, are you going to tell him that part of the story? I always do, I said. Anyway, they were trying to put me in the paddy wagon and take me home, and I wasn't ready to go home. Hello. Anyway, I was on the dance floor with one of the cops I kicked. And I was sober already, and I apologized to him on the dance floor. He says, well, I have to tell you, my chin was quite sore for weeks after. I said, oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, so you don't want to mess with me. Just kidding. Anyway, I don't know what, I got lots to tell. So one of the things that I knew I had to do was to learn everything I could from the whole world about how to heal my life, how to empty that garbage can that was getting fuller and fuller, even though I was sober, but I knew I need to get rid of So speaking about my epiphany and finding out who I am and smelling that sweetgrass, so I go into the second set of the course, and that's where I met Eric again, Robinson, after many years. So we went to a sweat together. I'd never been to a sweat. So we were outside, sitting, just putting wood into the fire as they were sweating in there. And the people that I learned from there, the elders there, oh my God, they were wonderful, wonderful people. And I met one of the elders that was doing the sweat. I met his wife, his little granny. Oh geez, she reminded me of my granny. Anyway, she gave me a pair of earrings. I still have them. And anyway, so we're sitting there and we're just chatting away. All of a sudden, we're sitting outside. All of a sudden, somebody said, look at that. So we looked at the sweat lodge. Oh, to me it was like, boy, I don't know how to describe it except RPMs, you know, like when something is moving fast. Well, sorry people out there. Anyway, so this thing was moving like, I'm not kidding, 1,000 RPMs. Like it was shaking like I never saw anything shake in my life. And it didn't even leave the ground. It didn't get dislocated. I thought it would be lifted up, but it just shook. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so like we're all like, holy smokes. So I get a ride back after that to the camp, our place. So I'm with the biggest guy, Bernard Buffalo, and the littlest guy, Alec Big Head. I'm sitting in the middle. So I said to her, did you guys shake that, the sweat lodge? I feel stupid asking it after I asked it. And he looks at me and he goes, I didn't have to say a word, I knew what that meant. Anyway, so that was my first time with the sweat lodge. What a humbling experience that was to know that, the grandfathers and grandmothers come in there and they speak. And I actually was in a ceremony, a dark room ceremony. It was called for one of my friends, I won't name him. And anyway, so all the lights were off, all the electrical power was off. And so the person started to say prayers, and all of a sudden you could hear people were coming, let's say coming through that door, and they're talking, and you could hear them talking, coming. Boom! All of a sudden there's an elder there. A cheeky little old man. He was being cheeky to all of us in there. And I'm laughing away. There's only two of us that speak Cree in that lodge. The interpreter and me. And the interpreter is from here, actually. Anyway, so we're laughing because he was a cheeky little grandpa. So you better believe there's, a spirit world is alive and well, folks, and there's nothing to be afraid of at all. It's your relatives that usually come. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but don't be afraid to ask me. Because remember, you don't have to be scared of, I don't fight cops anymore. I'm not scared of it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. So anyway, I'm flying home tonight, but coming in last night, apparently we were lucky to land, because when we landed, the plane went on the blink. Couldn't fly after that. So thank goodness for Lucy coming to get me in Cross Lake. Yeah. So don't be scared to ask me any questions, okay, you guys? Like that's what I'm here for. I've learned a few things in my 49 years of sobriety. I've learned how to clear energy in 15 minutes. If you want to know about that, I'll show you. Yeah, because it's my business to know. You know when people say mind your own business? Not me. No? You want it?
Belinda, thank you very much for coming to NAAW House. And thank you once again for your knowledge, your wisdom, everything else that you have shared with us today. And hopefully somebody will take that, at least something out from your presentation today. Okay, thank you very much. And on behalf of NAAW House Cree Nation, we have a gift for you.
Another blanket, yay! I always have blankets.
Oh, what is it? A scarf?
hot there.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. Just one. Oh,
It's a
oh,
shawl.
it's a
Is that a
shawl.
shawl?
Right? Oh, no. Yes, I mean, awesome. Thank you.
That's what you needed last night on our way back across Lake, right?
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Didn't he honestly talk about an adventure coming here?
She phones me, well, Clara Mino phones me first. I was on the phone with a client. I couldn't answer her, so I got off the phone and phoned her, and then I phoned her, and then I phoned my friend in Cross Lake to go feed them. There's 3 of them until I got there. So she had offered to drive them a little ways from Cross Lake. So once again, thank you, and you made it here safely.
Thank you, yes.
Hopefully you can make it all tonight. Thank you very much. If not, we have plans for you.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, and if you got dancing music, boy, I can dance too. Thank you.
We're not finished this thing yet.
Oh, and by the way, I got lots of dainties. If anybody wants dainties,
Okay, so before the camera goes off, we want to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors were Building Safer Communities. They donated quite a bit. They covered most of the guest speakers. The STAR program covered a portion of Reggie's, maternal child health, covered the dainties for Friday. We have a dinner on Friday, 5 o'clock tomorrow. Home and Community Care, they made dinner for Reggie Leach. Parks and Rec are looking after all the evening activities, which is, you know, off our hands, and we don't have to work all evening or all day. The Justice Program covered the cost of the dinner for tomorrow. Harm reduction also covered 3 of our guest speakers, which is a really good thing. And it's good to have our, and of course our program, our community health and wellness program. It's you know, we covered the other stuff like the supplies that we needed, your sweaters that you're wearing. Oh God, I forgot to pay that one. I just reminded myself. And of course our snacks, for our 5-day snacks, our Jeannie West has been doing all our snacks for us, so I want to thank her for that. Let's give her a big hand. She's here right now. And so our next presenter will be Debbie Anderson from KSMA.